Here we go. We are live. Hi, YouTube Nation. Today I'm here with Justina Luther. She is a multi-genre author who writes clean stories with thrilling twists. And what I want to start doing, I've mentioned this in a couple of videos now, is interviewing authors and kind of getting to know new authors and see what they're up to. I always find it like super interesting to hear about other people's writing processes and what they're working on. So Justina, all you. I think maybe the first thing you could do is just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you write, whatever, you go for it.
Hi, everybody. I am Justina Luther, as Erin said, and I've pretty much written my whole life. I don't think there's ever been a time where my imagination hasn't just been wild and going crazy. And to be totally honest, it used to get me in a little bit of trouble when I was really little. So when I found out that I could put it to the page and not have it be a problem, that was a godsend.
So, hi, John.
Yeah. Hi. And so
John's here. So, Justina, tell me a time. I want to hear this. This is fabulous scandal. Tell me a time your imagination got you into trouble, and what kind of trouble.
Okay, I'm trying to remember a specific instance. Okay, well, here's one that my grandmother loves to tell that I do not remember, but Grandma says it, so I will go with her on this one. She said that at one point. Now, granted, I was 7. I don't remember this. I don't know why I would have done that. Disclaimer, not something I would ever do now. Like, I said something about the crossing guard at school. I don't even remember. It was something that was not good. I was saying that he had been really mean to me or some such something. I don't know why. I don't know what. I don't remember any of it. But she says my parents were really mad about it and all this kind of stuff. And until my mom looked at me and she was like, she just had that look and she was like, no.
Yeah, that parent look is always fun.
Yeah, so like I said, not something I would ever do now, of course, but that was one of them. Just a lot of little things that I wish I could bring to mind right now, but I can't. Things where I would exaggerate. For instance, this story comes to mind. Was I the only one that had I was homeschooled from 3rd grade, so I have to pull from 1st grade, 2nd grade for school stories. But I remember it was 1st or 2nd grade that it was supposed to be a what Thanksgiving is like at our house type of essay.
Right. Yep.
And I remember I never liked writing things where I couldn't use my imagination, things where I just had to be by the facts. I hated it. I remember specifically going up to my teacher and asking her if I could write it from the turkey's perspective.
Oh, Justina, that's so talented. That is a writer. I love that. Did she let you?
No. I mean, well, think about it. The turkey is dead. What perspective does it have?
Are you kidding? A paranormal one. This
is true, but...
I wish I was your teacher. I would have been like, you're the smartest kid in our class. I would have made you the example. That is so cool.
But I remember asking that, and then I remember another time. That was probably, that may have come after this story, but I remember I was this way all through 1st grade, all through 2nd grade, but it was my 2nd grade teacher that actually noticed my love of words, my I hate saying this, but my ability, so to speak, not trying to toot my own horn here, but
it's all right.
But yeah, she was the first one that noticed, because she quickly learned that when she had the whole class write a story, she had to call on me last, because while everybody else was reading, I was still back there scribbling and still going. So she learned she had to call on me last. And there was this one particular Halloween that she had all of us write some sort of Halloween story. I don't remember what the exact prompt was, But whatever it was, it spun my imagination into writing this story about a mirror that stole souls. And it was
What grade was this?
This was second grade.
Wow. That's talent, though. That really is that natural born writer. Okay, sorry, keep going. I want to hear the story.
It's probably still here somewhere in all of the notebooks and all of this kind of stuff. I have no clue where. This is about 4 or 5 moves ago, so it's also possible it could have been lost.
Yeah.
But it was a mirror that stole souls, and I think it was the girl's grandmother. Either she had been taken by the mirror or her grandmother had the mirror. Somehow the grandma and the mirror were connected, and all this kind of crazy stuff. And my parents got a call out of the blue from my teacher one day saying, "Come in, we need to talk." And my parents are going, "She never gets in trouble.
This is who she is. Like, what?"
No, my parents didn't even really know about the writing because it was stuff I did for school. And then when I came home, I'd watch TV or I'd what have you, all this kind of stuff. So they knew nothing about it. They knew about my imagination, of course, because of, referred to previous story I just told.
Right.
But
wow. We've always had it.
Yes. And so, people talk about, when was that moment you wanted to be a writer? When was this moment you knew this? And I'm going, I never have a good answer to that
moment.
Yeah, it was just always there. And I didn't really think about it, of course, but my teacher called my parents in and they were very nervous until my teacher sat them down with this story. And she goes, "I've not seen a second grader do this type of stuff. If her character smells it, you smell it. If they see it, you see it. If they hear it, you hear it. If she's walking through the forest, you're walking through it with her, type of thing."
That is so cool. So cool.
And so my mom and dad were like, just first of all, flabbergasted that their kid had written this. And then my mom, this is her favorite part of the story. She turns to my dad and she goes, "What have you been letting her watch?" And if my memory serves, I think it was a Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen Halloween movie that had kind of sparked this. I have a feeling. But it was just funny. That's where all of this started. And my teacher told them, she said, "This is not something that everybody has. This is not something that everybody can do. Nurture this. This is her thing. I am telling you right now, this is her thing." For sure.
Nurture this. I work with kids that are, that age, and that is not normal. I mean, and I don't mean it bad, I mean it great. That is like such a gift.
I'm used to not being normal, so don't worry about it.
When I was in first grade, I was writing about like not that kind of stuff. My first book was called Nair, the Purple Aardvark, and you know how creative this is. Well, kind of, but it's not like this mirror's soul thing, Justina. Nair is Aaron spelled backwards, and purple, we all know, I think nothing's changed, is still Aaron's favorite color. So, I mean, and it was like a little aardvark who went to the zoo and came home. I mean, there's nothing mirror stealing soul, like so advanced. That's just awesome. I love that story. Do you think that now, I mean, obviously, I don't know how old you are, but 28 years late, well, not years later, but 20 something years later, really, is that still in you? Like, how is it changed? I mean, obviously the imagination is kind of innate, but how have you cultivated it?
Honestly, okay, so this goes back to another semi-backstory. When I was about 12, okay, so from the time I was homeschooled at third grade until I was about 12, I didn't really write very much. I was doing my homeschooling stuff, and again, because that had been stuff for writing, it wasn't something that I ever thought about just doing for fun at that time. Right. So when it wasn't called for in my classes, I didn't really do it. And I didn't really think about it. And it sort of fell to the wayside because, believe it or not, my hardest subject when I was really little was reading. That was the thing I struggled with the most.
Yeah, I did too. It's so weird. I hear that a lot from authors. Reading, I was in a remedial reading group.
I'm like, this is like the height of irony almost.
Yeah.
You're gonna but I heard it. But anyway, So when I was 12, my parents and I moved to Alabama, and we were only supposed to be there for a year.
Okay.
And I'm the type of person that when I make friends, if I let somebody in, I don't let go very easily, type of thing. So I knew, like mentally, I knew we were only supposed to be there for a year. So I kind of made this plan I'm not going to make friends here. I'll be nice to people and that kind of thing, but I'm not going to get close because we're only supposed to be here for a year. So it was then that I started getting back into writing and things just to kind of entertain myself, to kind of have my friends around me, even if they were only, in my imagination type of thing. So that's how I got back into writing. And I remember I got a couple of stories done, and my mom worked at this retailer at this point. She was general manager, and I had a lot of friends in the building, just people I had met. And my best friend was someone I met there, and I'm still best friends with that girl. But cool. Yeah. Side note, you'll notice I have squirrel brain as well.
I do too. Hi, Stephanie. We're not ignoring you. Justina's got these stories that are fascinating.
But so I would on occasion take like the stories, like as soon as I would finish one, I would send it to work with my mom to show to my friends, or I would go into the store myself and, just show it to people. But up to that point, I hadn't really shown it to anyone I didn't know. And I was also in choir at church and stuff like that. So one of my friends there asked to see the story that I had just finished. So I brought it in with me. And I remember I'm sort of sitting off away from everybody because, again, not making close friends, only here a year type of mentality. So I'm sort of, I'm there, I'm being nice to everybody, but I'm sort of off by myself. And I've got my little printout of this story in my lap. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, waiting for choir to start, just being my awkward little 12-year-old self.
Right.
And I remember the leader of it wasn't the kids choir leader. It was like the leader over the whole church choir. He was in charge of all of the music. He comes in, starts messing around with the piano, sees little Miss me sitting over by myself with this packet of paper in my lap. And you see him at the piano kind of doing this as he's playing, like, what's this? So he comes over to me, doesn't say anything, but he's staring at the packet of paper in my lap, and he starts doing this, trying to read upside down title on my lap, until he's almost pretzeled himself completely upside down. And I'm watching this man do this, and I'm like, do you want to read this? He's like, yeah, can I see that? I'm like,
here.
He's like, can I see that? And I'm like, yes. And I'm like, oh no, this isn't my friend. This isn't someone who's a friend of my mom's. This isn't anyone who has any reason to be nice to me. Technically.
Yeah, it's such a vulnerable thing that first time you share
and
your
I was
work.
Like, okay. And he starts flipping through it, and he flips through a few pages, and he goes, hey, my secretary used to be an English professor in a college. Can I show this to her? And I'm like, okay. I was terrified, but I was like, okay, sure, yeah, fine, because my friend never did show up that night. So I was just like, okay, hey, I brought it. Maybe it was for this reason. Let's give it to him, see what happens. So about a week goes by, and I get a call from this woman, and she's like, I've just read your story. I need you to come in. Can you come in with your mom?
Like harshly?
She's like, okay. To 12-year-old me, it was
scary.
Yeah, to 12-year-old me, it was very harsh. It was very scary.
Right, that's true. It's on 12-year-old ears.
Listening to it now, it would probably be a brisk business type of, I don't have time to talk. This, and this is what I need type of thing.
Right.
To a 12-year-old.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, I was like, well, my mom's working, but my dad can come in with me. Is that okay? And she's like,
yeah,
I know. I was like, this isn't anything like the Soul's Mirror story. This was I think it was, I don't know, a day at the park or something like that.
You're constantly feeling in trouble for that creative mind. It's
I think that's just me. You know me, I'm perfectionist. For anyone who doesn't know, high perfectionist trying to get better. But
not perfectionist, just trying to survive.
but that is very much
very
my type of
different.
thing. Like, I'm always kind of going, where did I screw? Especially with that type of attitude coming at me of do. I'm going, what did I mess up?
Yeah. Yeah. I
So-
would have been too.
So she was like, yeah, no, fine, come in. Yeah, your dad can come with you. So I hang up the phone and I go tell my dad, and I'm like, oh God, this one's gonna kill me. Or she's gonna tell me how terrible the story was, or I don't know. It was just, the phone call did not set me up to expect any kind of pat on the back or anything like that. So we get in there, and okay, the way that she had spoken, all this type of thing, I almost expect someone very tall, someone very broad, someone very, very, to come through the door. And that's the type of person that I'm picturing. In walks this sweet little grandma who is like 5 foot.
Right.
In walks this sweet little grandma that's about 5 foot nothing. Still can tell she's very much a pepper pot. I can tell just the way she carries.
What is a pepper pot? What is a pepper pot? Is that a Southern thing?
Maybe. I don't know. She's very much a spicy type of person. Like, she's gonna tell you how it is. She's gonna,
sassy,
a sassy pistol, little pepper pot.
Okay.
And just be like, another side note, beware. You might hear any kind of saying come out of my mouth. I've lived in the West. I've lived in the South. We're in the Northeast right now, or Midwest right now. Like, I've been all over the country. I could have any amalgamation of sayings.
Yeah.
So anyway, she comes in, and all of a sudden she starts gushing over the story, and I'm sitting there with emotional whiplash because I'm like, wait, time. Let me catch up here. I think the look on my face was probably, huh? But she was like, I love this. I'm a woman in my, I think she said 60s at the time. The story kept my attention from start to finish, like all this kind of stuff. And she was talking about all these good things. She saw it, and I'm going, what now? And she was talking about the lesson that she saw in it. And she goes, what made you want to put that in there? I'm like, I just wrote the story. If anybody put a lesson in there, it was God, not me. I was like, I'm just writing. And so she was telling me all this stuff. And so she gave my dad a packet of information for this writing course for kids that she really wanted me to take. And lo and behold, didn't take it then, ended up taking their adult classes after I finished high school. And that was kind of my college that I did before coming to Crazy Inc. So that was kind of where I kind of refined. So I have a feeling I rabbited off of your question, but I think that's where I was headed.
I'm gonna keep reeling you back, because while I love these stories, I want to hear what you're working on now. I want to know, where are you now, and also, where are you going? Like, where are you headed? Like, what is your plan? So I think maybe all that creativity, a whole lifetime, way more than I had, of knowing that natural talent was there. Like, for me, I really had to teach myself and learn it. That was not innate to me. So you have this gift, and then now 20 years later, here you are, you've got how many books? 5 right now?
I've got the 4 in the series. I'm working on the 5th one in the Step into Darkness series. And then I've got The Heart Recalls and Cherry Sunrises. So I've got about 6 out right now.
That's a lot. And when did you first sign? A year ago?
I signed about, I want to say 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months before my book actually published. So like October the year before last, maybe.
Still, that's what, 18 months-ish? And you're 6 books in. That's really a great speed, and a lot of, how many of those books were already written?
Okay, so I want to say the first 2 of my Step into Darkness series were already written, because that was supposed to be 1 book. The series was originally supposed to be 3 books, and then we broke it up into 2 books per my big thing that I was doing. And so those were supposed to be 3 books. So those first 2 were already written. The second 2 were not, and neither of the novellas were written. And then that's nothing to say of the short stories, which were also not written for the anthologies that I've been in. So
yeah, she's also been in a gazillion. How many anthologies now?
6.
6. Yeah, that's quite a bit. You've done a lot in a short amount of time is the blurb on that. But okay, so why don't you tell us what you're working on now, and maybe about the Step into Darkness series.
So what I'm working on right now is the 5th book of the second Step into Darkness series. I always have to remind myself because like you said, I've been kind of cranking these out. So I'm going, where am I right now?
Oh, you should see me trying to list. I'm like, what book is this? And then I recheck and I'm like, go to Amazon. Then I count. Oh, you don't even know. It's like 52 layers of check. It's so bad.
I love
it. I'm trying.
Sorry.
I can't keep track of my own books, so it believe me when it's not mine.
So Step into Darkness series was actually a series, it'll take me back a little bit, but I wrote the original short story version when I was about 13 or 14. Mm-hmm. And then that kind of morphed to finding this website online where I had a real chance to share my stuff with people I didn't know to get real feedback. People that didn't have to be nice to me. They didn't work at my mom's store. They weren't, there was no kind of reason.
They didn't run the choir.
Yeah, there was no reason for them to be nice to me. And so I was like, okay, this is terrifying, but I'm going to do it. I was like, okay, firewall. Let's just throw a story up there that I'm done with, that I'm done with. If they like it, they don't like it. If they like it, they don't like it. Big deal. So I started throwing the Would You Have Believed Me onto there. But the original title, I think, was What's What. And it didn't get any traction because that was a terrible title. And I don't blame anybody for not looking at that. So I retitled it.
We live and learn, Justina. It's allowed. It's allowed. Yeah.
It was, I retitled it. I looked at the message boards to see what sort of titles were getting the most interaction. And I found that it was usually a question. So I was like, okay. So I retitled it and started to post it in segments. And of course, as I learned, you can't post anything of your work and not rework it. It's just, especially if you're going in segments, it doesn't work. So that short story became the first book, became the first 2 books, ultimately. So, and I actually started into book 3, but I kind of wrote myself into a corner and then ended up dropping it for a while until came to Crazy Ink. And first 2 books published, and then I needed book 3. So,
do you think that having a publisher and deadlines and someone on you is helpful or hurtful to the creative process?
I think it's 50-50, honestly, because in some ways it is great because you're not allowed to let yourself stagnate for too long.
You can't stay in that corner.
But
you're getting pulled out, whether you like it or not.
But on the flip side, especially with a perfectionist personality type, it's easy to kind of obsess about the deadline, which clicks into
anxiety.
The more not only that, but the more mechanical part of the brain versus the part of the brain that's needed for creativity. So, like I said, it's fabulous in some ways, and it's a double-edged sword. Fabulous in some ways,
it hurts in other ways.
It's sort of 50-50.
I mean, you could say that. I really am interested in that because with me, I've always been deadline driven because my background is as a daily newspaper reporter. You are having the story done by the end of the day, whether your source calls you back or not. So you better have 52 backup sources. And that's like how I was trained to write. So I'm super deadline driven, but I'm not a perfectionist. So if I had to use source 3 to get the same result in the same story, I'm okay with that. For someone who is a perfectionist, that has got to be super stressful to know stories are due in a month, guys. And you're like, shut up.
It is stressful, but that is why I have, I'm going into my writer nerd here. I have one Excel sheet of all of my Crazy Ink publishing dates and deadlines. I have everything there. And then I have a separate Excel sheet of when I want it done. When I want it done by, that way I have 2 dates. I have one that I want it drafted by, and I have one that I want it edited by. And when I have that thing edited, I want to be able to send it in. I want to be able to send it in with at least 2 weeks of cushion before that deadline.
See, for as different as we are, we're really the same. Because you know what I do when I have other publishers, which I have other publishers, right? I will literally, if they say your deadline is, say, March 2nd, I will write, because I'm not organized like you. I will write January 1st is the deadline. I'm so me that I forget about March, and I'm always the first one. Why? Because, I really thought it was due January 1st. Now I know that I do this, but I set myself up where it's impossible to fail because I won't know the real deadline, and it'll be there January 1st. So even though it's a different way, we're doing the same thing. You have
the other thing,
Justina dates,
Yeah, the other thing that I do is within those dates, I try to give myself some cushion even then, because I'm someone that I can battle anxiety. I can battle depression sometimes and these kind of things. And when that really hits me, no matter how much I may want to write, it's like my brain zeroes in on that thing and all writing just. So I put in a cushion for that, for those days that I know there may be 3 or 4 days where I can't or don't get myself to write. So I make sure that cushion is within that time frame.
Yeah. You need to know yourself and like, okay, well, realistically, 2 days a week, it's just not going to be there, and plan around it. So that's like really smart. Do you think you got that from homeschooling? Because with you, I've often thought, okay, I wasn't homeschooled and I went to a public college, public everything. But I always thought, man, those homeschool kids, I played a lot of sports with kids that were homeschooled. They've got to be the most organized, motivated. I don't think I would have done well in that environment. I needed someone on me telling me this is when it's due.
Now, okay, so to be honest, when I have my anxiety, like when I have that stuff kick in, I do need someone on me. Like when that stuff hits, I still need that backup. But when I am okay, and when my mind is sort of balanced, so to speak, then no problem. I know my deadlines. I know what needs to be done. I know how to get it there, and that type of thing. So like all of my homeschooling was on the computer. Mm-hmm. So like it had everything written out, like, okay, I log into my schooling today. You have English, science, math, and history. Excuse me, sorry. Mm-hmm. English, science, math, and history. You have, and it'll bring up the lessons. So I'll do those lessons and it'll give me an immediate grade on them and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, I like the immediate. I don't like waiting.
I know. I like that too. So you can imagine what the editing process is for me.
Your edits go quick though, because you're clean. You're very clean. I can tell you, I would say of all of Crazy Inc., probably the top 10 as far as self-editing and cleanness in your writing, for sure. I've never heard a complaint from an editor.
Thank you.
And you've had 2 editors now, right?
I've had, it's been Kat and Kat. And Miss Rita,
Yep. That's really, and they would trust me. I talk to them enough. Especially my mother. I mean, come on, that I would know. I hear it. People don't realize I really hear from editors. And so I know that I don't know if it's that you initially write really clean or if you're just really good at self-edits. Now you write me too.
I am the queen of typos. Like so the first thing that happens after I write a book is it goes straight to my mom, always, and she and I will spend a whole day of her reading it, and I'll be sitting there, and all of a sudden I'll get a poke on the shoulder, and she'll read a sentence the way I wrote it as opposed the way I meant it.
Oh no!
And she and I,
I don't think I'd like this process.
She and I will dissolve into laughters because I may not type the most words a minute of anybody. I think I'm actually fairly slow when it comes to typing. Mm-hmm. But I will type quick for me, and scuffle becomes Scrabble, and all of this type of stuff. Like in book 1 of the Step in the Darkness series, first fight scene, Justine is on the ground. She is trying to scramble to her feet. I had her scrabbling to her feet. So out of nowhere, she pulls out a board game. I don't know. And
hey, you were having a twist.
And all this kind of stuff. But my mom and I will laugh so hard over those type of things where I've written just a word that doesn't exist, and she'll just read out this type. And ever since I was a little girl, if you just talk gibberish to me and it sounds funny, I'm going to dissolve. I'm going to crack up. It just happens. So that type of thing. And we do that for like the first day or so. And then it goes into the cooling period where if I'm a little closer on deadlines because I've had more problems with my mind or, what have you, more problems with the story, which we all know that happens sometimes, where it's like, it's not what I told you to do. Why'd you do that?
Oh yeah, we know that. Yep.
Yeah. And
I have a question too.
Yeah.
Don't, I'll write it down if you want, because I don't want to forget to ask you this. But, oh, good. It just went. Keep going, Justina. I'll think of it in 2 seconds. The minute you start talking, I will. It's a very specific Justina question too.
Okay.
Keep going with where you are. I'm going to.
So after she reads it, it goes into like its phase of just being ignored, basically. Like it goes into the cooling phase. And if I'm shorter on time, as I will write the next story in my list. Like right now, I'm working on the final book for my Step into Darkness series. And after that, I go into my Halloween novella, The Compact. And so while I'm writing The Compact, New Wounds, which is the final book, will be cooling. And because I'm a little closer.
Do you find it easy to switch projects like that while mom's over here poking you about Scrabble?
No, I take the one day usually to let her do that.
Although
sometimes I will be doing both, and then I laugh even harder because my brain is like short circuiting while she's reading this to me, and I'm. But those days are, I think, more fun. Because I'm like, brain doesn't work. So everything is like a giddy, I'm so exhausted laugh where everything becomes hilarious at that point. And those times can be really fun.
Yeah. Have you ever read back your writing when you're in that like delirium and you're just writing and you're like, the next day I end up going delete?
No, I will say I tried not to do that to myself because the perfectionism kicks in and it goes, instead of being hilarious, it goes, oh, I'm so terrible at this. Why am I doing this? Like it goes to a dark section. So I
don't do that to myself. I'm nice to myself. I go, wow, that's comedy. You'll get there though. I used to do that to myself, but it gets to a point where once you've survived enough 1-star reviews or failed releases, I mean, there are a certain amount of failures that make it so that you just develop that thicker skin, because as many failures as you have, you're going to have successes, and they learn to balance, it's 10 steps forward, 2 steps back, whatever, but it's still more steps forward than back. So eventually you write that kind of gibberish instead of thinking I'm an idiot and having self-doubt. I promise, Justina, just trust me. You won't have that self-doubt. You'll just laugh because it's funny and you got to laugh sometimes. I mean, it's got to be fun. Otherwise, why are we here? This is too much work if it's not fun. It's so much work. I thought of the question and I wrote it.
Yes.
See, look, wrote it. What makes your books, you're going to hate me because this is probably that question no one knows how to answer. What makes Justina books different than every other thriller / multi-genre twisty writer books? What about you is different that would make readers say, it's only a Justina book I want to read?
Okay, so I'm actually going to use something you told me for this.
Oh, good. I'm listening. I love listeners. Okay.
Okay, so I remember, and this goes back to a certain cover that you and I had a little bit of a disagreement on.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay. You can tell the story. I mean, I'll stand by my nudity.
What I'm talking about. And y'all will know later, so stay tuned. You got to follow my books to wait for that one to come out. But anyway, you and I were talking, I was talking about how I want my writing to always be clean, and I don't necessarily say it, but it's always there. Like, okay, I will get right up in a reader's face emotionally, so to speak, through the page. Never me, the character. And I don't pull punches when I write, and I never want to, and I never will. But at the same time, I am very clean, and I love to throw in a twist where I can. And you told me, well, you don't really fit that clean genre, so to speak, because you don't pull punches, because you're going to do everything in your power to push the reader's emotion to the edge and then maybe over the cliff. I don't know. That was a me edit. But I've never believed in pulling punches. Like when I was 13 and writing that original story, I remember having to take breaks because I would be physically shaking. This was when I wrote longhand. I would be physically shaking because of how real that scene was to me, even though I'd never lived it. how in that scene I was, and how in that scene I want the reader to be, and that type of thing. So to me, that's what makes me different on both sides of the coin. On the clean genre side, I'm different because I don't pull those punches, because I'm gonna get into the nitty gritty, because I'm going to examine the things in life that maybe I haven't been through, but I write to experience the good and the bad in life, to experience things that I haven't. And
one thing, and I told you this at the time, because I was like, Justina, you're killing me. I admire this. I admire that no matter what your publisher, your friends, your peers, exclusives, maybe beta readers, whoever says, you are firm and this is who I am. This is how I'm going to roll. This is my boundary. This is my standard. This is for me. I don't find you as coming off and saying, well, how other people should do it. You've made a choice. This is how I'm going to write for me, for my books, for my brand. I absolutely admire that. I totally support that. And I'm proud of you for that, because I do think that makes you different. Now, how you're going to pull off horror without a single swear word, good luck. I don't know, but I'm excited to see it. I want to read it. And to me, there's a hook in that. Like, check this. I almost said check this woman out, okay? I'm sorry,
you know what? It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me.
I do so well with teenagers. I speak like them. But check this woman out. She's able to pull off this really strong, intense scene that may be gory or thriller, whatever, without those words, without certain, situations or scenarios. And while I haven't seen it done, it doesn't mean I don't believe it can't be done. And I want to see it done.
So, I'm really excited about that book.
I am too, because I'm like, all right, if we needed an outfit so badly, then let's see. You better pull this off, because I believe in you. You better do it, and I know you will.
I'm excited.
But I admire that. I do. As much as I was like, Justina, really, what are you doing? This is not appropriate for the genre. And we did. We had that little whatever, but we were able to work through it. And I'm super excited to see how you manage this, because I don't think I know I couldn't. But what I can do and you can do, it doesn't matter. We're different people with skill sets and different brands. If I didn't swear, people would ask me if I had a fever. They'd be like, Erin, they're proud of me when I don't swear for a full hour. This is going to be like a miracle at the end of this, that I pulled it off. But you know how we started this. So there's that. We won't tell anyone.
The important thing to know now is Erin and I, same team crazy, woohoo.
It's totally true. I mean, we may come at this from different angles, but I think one of the greatest parts of Crazy Ink is that in the end, everybody has their own voice. They have the final say on their cover. They have the final say on their brand. And like, as much as I want to push my advice, or I don't want to watch you crash, because I'll see someone, not you in this case, but I'll see an author about to make a mistake that I have lived through and survived, and I don't want that for them. I've never tried to attempt what you're going to do, obviously. I think I swore in my first book. I know I swore in my first book, so that was over. But, it's here's Watson. I need F-bombs and gore when I write. I can't help myself. Watson, me too. She's going to do, and Justina, I think you should play this up in your reader group. She is going to write a horror without curse words. None. Mermaid's a disaster. Trust me, she's, writing about sex dolls. So we know about her. But, I think it's cool. If you can pull this off successfully, mad props. And I believe that you can. I, honest to God, think if anyone can do it, it's you, because you're so adamant. To be 28 years old, and I am the lady that you feared. The lady that turned out to be the cute little, what did you call her? Pepper something, grandma?
Oh, Pepper Pot.
I'm not Pepper Pot. I'm that one you described, the tall, do it right, Justina. And you said, too bad, I'm the Pepper Pot. I'm doing it my way. So good. I want to see you prove me wrong, because that is talent, and I believe you can do it, and I'm super excited about it, and I'm glad you defended yourself, even though I'm a little nervous. Like, can it be done? And we're going to use Watson. We're going to say, Watson, read this.
If we're not nervous, then we're not doing our jobs, because if we're not nervous, we're a little bit lazy. So
yeah, I mean, it's my job to try to stop you from a crash, okay? And it's your job to say, you know what? I've got the wheel. Or in your case, Jesus has the wheel. I'm sorry, I'm making it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a higher power. Someone else, just chill out, Aaron, back off. And I think that of all the books you have coming, this is the one I'm most excited about, because I literally want you to prove me wrong. I have sons that are in their early 20s, and I love when they prove me wrong, because normally I'm trying to micromanage them and, honey, that's not a good choice. And then they prove me wrong, and it's the greatest thing in the world. Not that I'm trying to mom you, it's totally different. But I'm just saying,
don't worry about it.
There's something as cool as being proven wrong on something like this. So she can do it. Watson agrees. Watson and I are going to read this book.
Watson and I went over my story. I went to him and said, okay, this is the type of thing that I'm thinking. Am I on the track? Am I off in left field? Where am I? Because he is the king of horror. Anyone who has not read his books and you're watching this, go check them out if you like horror. I'll admit I haven't read them yet. But you know,
he's the king of horror, I promise, but I don't know.
No, just trust me. I know Crazy Ink, and I know Erin, and I know she would not pull someone in that couldn't do their thing. So yeah,
he can do his thing. That's why I want Watson. I also want Marin, who they're a different style, and I don't know which way you're gonna lean. My guess is more toward Marin. I have a feeling you're gonna be more. Okay, why don't you tell us instead of me telling you? We'll call that client driven if we were doing therapy. How, with horror, and I think that's what a lot of us are anticipating from you, just because it is so different how you're going to do this. With horror, do you see yourself as being more psychological, suspensey? Like, how are you going to tackle that genre?
I want readers to constantly feel like there's something watching them. I want readers, while they're reading this book, to just have that sense of, oh, it's coming. Oh, it's coming.
Can you read some comments?
I can't. I don't see anything.
Okay, I'm going to help. I would have gutted that mermaid bee. So, you know, he's not behaving, but he's saying, you can do it. He believes in you. But that's what's so awesome about Crazy Ink, forget Crazy Ink, about writing in general, is that you can have two people writing the same genre, approaching it from completely different ways. And Watson is saying he likes that. He loves your plan for that.
That's what I love about Crazy Ink, because we're all so different.
Yeah.
But we all will be there cheering each other on, like, go, 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 go. And so that's really fun.
We want you to win this. We do. Like, I want you. Yes. You know what I want in the end? Because I don't know how that would work, because he can't be helped. I can't either. I'm not cutting him. I would love to see you and Watson co-write a horror, but the problem is Watson can't do it without swearing. So and then you've got the boundary of you can't have a swear in the book. So now we have and I don't want to break it up. I don't know whose side to pick. I think it's really cool that you're going to attempt to write in that genre clean. I mean, you go. Yeah.
So so the true first psychological horror book that I'm going to be doing, though, is The Compact. That's the first one. And that one is not going to have, well, honestly, I can't entirely say that because I haven't written it yet. So it's not going to have some of the gore and stuff that, because of the genre, because of the requirements, Occidendium and Cyrenius will have. I always have to think about that title before I try to say it out loud, and I'm probably pronouncing it wrong because it's Latin.
I can't even pronounce my co-writer's name. Don't feel bad.
But I want to. One thing I'm going to do in let's just call it the Mermaid book and save us all from me having to constantly think about having to say the title. That's going to be fun if I ever do an interview solely about that book.
You're going to have to practice the word for me too, because you never know when it comes up for me.
But I'm going to have, there is the predator that becomes prey, and then the bigger predator is sort of the whole, and I'm probably not going to explain it well because, like you said, first real horror book. Trust me, it's going to be really intense, but
I believe you just based on someone's always watching you. You obviously get the genre.
Oh, I love watching it. Don't get me wrong. Like, one of my favorite things to do when I'm vegging out is to watch like horror game playthroughs on YouTube, because a lot of times I find the story more interesting in those than I do in some horror movies. But it's a little more detailed in my mind. I don't know. And no offense to any strong horror fans out there.
What point of view? Because you said that, I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking of, you know, that series You, which I don't consider that horror, but you know what I mean. He breaks the fourth wall. So when you say I want the reader to feel like someone's watching them, it reminds me of that series You. I don't know who wrote it. I can't remember.
I haven't heard of it.
Okay, it's on Netflix. But he breaks that fourth wall, that fourth dimension, where he's directly speaking to the reader, which you aren't supposed to do. But somehow this was done in a wicked effective way and turned into a, you know, TV series as well, or Netflix. What is the point of view? And that's okay. I'm like that too, and that's a little scary right now for us to be coughing. But it's allergy time of year.
Exactly.
So.
I've been coughing for the last 4 or 5 months, like on and off. No lie. So I know it's not Corona because I got this before the Rona even hit.
Yeah,
so
it's the same way. But every time I cough now, or you go in a store, I sneeze.
Oh my gosh.
Just because of that. Like literally outside, a lady looked at me like I was a serial killer. I'm like justifying every allergy I've ever had. It was awful.
Yeah, I was walking through Costco going, trying to like smothering the cough.
Oh, I get it. I totally get it, because you feel like, oh, I don't want people to think I'm killing them slowly.
I know. Oof. But anyway, what were we talking about?
What point of view are you writing Mermaid and the Compact?
Compact is first person. I'm going to do first person on Compact. Mermaid might be a split between the two. It might be one character first person, one character third person, which I also do in my Step into Darkness series. In each of those books, there's one character that will be first person. And
Oh, look at you, you knew. I can't help myself. I have a million questions. So with me, when I write horror, I tend to be able to write it more effectively. At least I don't struggle as much in third person. When I write in first person and I'm trying to write thrillers or horror, it's harder for me. And I think that's because if you're the character experiencing it, well, that's cool. You can show your experience of fear and whatever, but you don't have that omniscient point of view. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's tough in horror to write first person.
Okay, so here's what I'm actually thinking with that book.
Okay.
I'm just going to say bigger and smaller for the two characters.
Okay.
Smaller, third person. Bigger, first person.
So you're going to use smaller to give
the prey mentality.
Okay, that's kind of different, but smart.
And the bigger one.
You're going too slow. I want to read these. I want to see how you do this.
I have other deadlines that come first, and if I try to write that before other stuff,
go away. She's bugging us.
If I write other things first, so other things will not make their deadline. So in the problem.
I don't know if anyone's making deadline these days anyway, Justina. I mean, I am dying to read this. So, and I think a lot of people here are. John says he could do it. He's writing a horror right now that is curse-free. Okay. That could be a fascinating situation. People, you guys, you might want to talk. I could see that you're both super strong writers. Neither one of you misses deadlines. I feel like that could be a good and totally, I mean, you're talking about totally different world. Oh, wow.
Okay, can I just say something? I've heard co-writes before, And Watson was never on the radar. No offense. Just because we're so different, because of the cursing.
What I mean, Watson and you, that's it's literally going two opposite spec. I don't think anyone's offended. Watson is me, but man me. It's two opposite perspectives, which could make the coolest collaboration. Sometimes those are the best ones. Me and Marin is obvious. We're the same person. She just talks weird. But you and Watson. Marin, have you seen this? This could be so cool.
That could be interesting. Yeah. That could be really interesting. But so yeah, the compact is going to be all first person, and the Mermaid book is going to be first person and third person, because I want to really show how terrifying it is to be the smaller of those two, even though you thought you were coming in being the big bad, so to speak.
Justina on the edge right there. Yeah, I need this book. All right, well, I'm excited about it. And I think, again, with your Watson talks weird too. He really does. He talks weirder than Marin technically, but whatever.
You should hear me after I'm talking to my best friend from Alabama. I start coming up with an accent too.
Oh, an accent.
I start sounding like I'm still in Alabama after I talk to her. If she and I talk for like an hour or so, I'm starting to throw out y'alls and hey, like all this kind of it just starts.
Oh yeah, that was way too easy for you. My kid came home and yelled at me. I told him, if you do that one more time, you're not getting dinner. Don't do it. I don't like it. You stay up here. He's like, sorry, Ma. No, don't do Ma either. I don't. But okay, we have 9 minutes. So I'm wondering if anybody that's watching, I mean, we have a couple of crazy anchors. Do you guys have any questions for Justina? Or Justina, anything you want to tell readers, people about you, your books, take the wheel.
As said, I do crazy. Well, no, that's Aaron's thing. I don't swear, but I push emotions to the edge, and I do my best to do so. I once had a teacher that said, "Oh no, you don't want to push them too hard." I said, "Why not?"
Love it.
And that's my thing. If you want books that are going to do their best to push you to the edge, both in happy, in sad, and scared, all this kind of stuff, all the emotions, then yeah, my work is something I hope you will check out. I don't swear, all that kind of stuff. My brain is now malfunctioning because I'm trying to speak quickly. And
no, you're all right. We don't have to end exactly. You get it out your way.
Like I can tell I'm talking quicker and quicker and quicker, and my brain's like, I give up. Just go.
Watson wants to know if you're a plotter or a pantster.
That again depends on my mind frame, my deadline. For the most part, I'm a pantser. Like I'm sort of halfway between, because I'll have certain scenes and I'll have it sort of mapped out in my head, but I don't really write it down. And as I'm writing, I'll go, oh, that's where that scene fits. Oh, where that's when that one goes. Oh, and just kind of weave my way through to the different points and the different scenes and things that I have in mind. And I always start with like the highest point of drama in a book and say, okay, that's over there. That's toward the middle or toward the end, what have you. And I'm over here. How do I get from here to there? And I just start kind of writing with that in mind.
Right.
So I would say halfway.
With some strong openings in your books.
Thank you. It also helps.
Watson writes too. It's meant to be. It's meant to be. We must do this, guys.
It also helps when you think of, like, in the instance of my series, the fact that it was 3 books broken down, it was easier to find those high points to put like at the end of each book to keep people reading, because it's only supposed to be the middle of a book, or there's another one in the series, or that kind of thing. So that's sort of the way I looked at that and the way I did that series.
Yeah, you did it, and you've done it well. I mean, the people that have read that book really, or those books, they're hooked, and that's the key. When you can keep someone on to book 4, that's not easy to do, Justine. You don't realize that because you did it right out of the gate. But
I did it out of the gate, but I gotta admit, I took your words to heart when you said this wasn't easy, and I was like, well, I feel like I'm kind of on the roller coaster, and you told me that when I was about here going up the hill, and I'm like, well, I'm here now anyway, may as well keep going.
Yeah, this is a roller coaster. I mean, hey, if you know you can't do any other way, you can't we know can't live without running. You were getting in trouble in first grade for it. So it's innately, who is Justina? Well, she's an author. So you might as well do it where you've got a shot at readers and an audience versus, wherever that one story is in your room somewhere. So,
And
keep doing what you're doing.
let me just brag on Crazy Ink here for a second, because I don't really get.
But I'm not
This
good
is
at
like
this.
this is the first time that you and I have actually been able to talk like this. It's usually more through like email and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you so much for taking on a writer who, brand new author, all that kind of stuff. My backstory, what I was told, all of these types of things coming into this. And so it meant the world to me, which I'm sure it does to all of the crazy inkers. I'm sure that, I'm not the only one to feel this way, but you have set up a place that I feel safe being creative, that I feel safe to mess up as much as a perfectionist is capable of feeling safe to mess up.
I know. You get, poor thing.
I'm learning. I am getting better. I don't look at, honestly, anyway, so thank you for what you do. Thank you for how hard you work on this. I know that I don't always say it, but it is seen, it is appreciated. So thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, I think it's more common than not, a lot of that backstory. We have, especially in that exclusive group, most of us, including myself, are coming from the same place. We were told the same things. And, it's kind of like, I've always rooted for the underdog. And there is nothing. It's just like this thing. I'm going to write a horror book and not swear. That makes me want to cheer for you more. I love people who are not afraid to break the rules, break the mold, be authentically them, and go for it. And excuse my language, but screw anybody that ever told you that you couldn't write. Your teacher saw it in grade 1. Your choir guy saw it when, you were 12. People have seen it along the way. And I'm just really honored to be a part of that story. There's going to be a day when it's like, Justina, remember me? Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm still on the couch.
You made me cry.
But really, so it's cool, and it's an honor to me too to be part of your story. And like Michelle has said similar things. We've got a couple of questions though, and I want to grab them. Mary Duke is asking, what's your number one writer must-have? That's a good question.
Okay, so I have 2. Number 1 writer must-have is a brain that's willing to play along with me for the day.
Oh yeah, that helps.
And anybody who has like depression, anxiety, any kind of those type of battles will get what I'm saying with that. But as far as like actual like outside of inner stuff, I think the number 1 thing that I need to write is I just need space and a pencil, or space and a computer.
Low maintenance.
Yeah, I don't need a ton. And sometimes like I'll have a playlist. Like I have a playlist that I've listened to for pretty much all of the Step Into Darkness series. It's like all this kind of different stuff. It's very, I don't know. It's very emotional.
I cannot listen to music and write. No way.
It depends. It depends on where I am mentally that day. Some days I need it. Some days it's in the way. Yeah, it depends.
I almost said Melissa. Marin, who has no other legal name, would like to know, do you prefer writing series or standalones?
I love both. And this is another one of those double-edged sword things, because with series, I love that I can get really close to the characters, and all. Not that you don't get close to all of your characters, but it's like a long-term relationship. It's ongoing. It's not standalone.
Yeah. Yep.
And so that's fabulous. But also with that comes the deadline of the book after, and and all of the stuff that you have to carry over for book 2. So to me, it's a bigger responsibility, so to speak, than standalones, because it's a thing that carries over. But I love both. I love, and with standalones, especially like with the Shop series, where it's a novella length and a little more compact and things of that nature. there are certain elements that are difficult with that as well, because you want to get all of the questions, all of the things that you would normally be able to stretch out in a series. You have to have them compact. You have to have them in the one book and the this. And yes, you can always do an ending where the characters go on after the book and that type of thing, of course, because it's like a story from real life type of thing. Excuse me. So yeah, I love both, but let's just put it this way. I'm looking forward to having some standalone projects after my series is done. Not saying I wouldn't ever do another series, not saying that at all. Saying
never say never with
no,
books.
No, absolutely not.
It won't work.
No, absolutely not. That's something my mom has told me since I was itty bitty. Never say never. Good. So I always say, it's funny. Like
I bet you, Justina, I'm going to put down a bet.
Okay.
I bet you, and it's going to be, you're going to think of me.
Okay.
30 years from now, you're going to swear one time in a book because it's necessary for not because you're like breaking your mold. It's important to the story one time. And you're going to think of me. Stephen King had a whole book that could not be put in middle school libraries unless he removed one swear. It was it Dolores Claiborne? I don't know which one. I don't know what it was. But one of his books, he said you cannot remove that word. It was one swear, the whole book. So middle school libraries couldn't put the book in the library, and I don't know. I'll look it up over that one word. But he said that one word made a difference to the story. I'm telling you, Justina, 30 years you're going to do it once, and you're going to remember me. You are.
Well,
maybe you
won't.
I'm not challenging
about what you're saying that I'm focusing on. Why am I not with Crazy Ink in 30 years? Why are we talking like I'm somewhere else?
How old am I? Justina, I'll be 75. Marin, you can have Marin publish it. She'll be the new Crazy Ink.
Hey.
I'm just thinking it's 75. I don't know. I mean, okay, 50 years. Does that help you? I cannot see Erin being 95. I'll like die in a skydiving or I can't even walk. All right. I've got a broken ankle over here for no reason other than walking. Sorry.
How are you doing, by the way? I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah, I don't know because I refuse to go get an x-ray because I don't want to be exposed. So yeah, I'm just hobbling. I do have crutches because my ankles have been bad for a long time. So this isn't new. If you can't really walk around anyway, who cares? What do you need a leg for? Oh no, that's Marin's question. Series or standalone? All right, Justina, here's my plan. If you could email me a list of your follow links,
okay.
I can update the description in this video so that if readers are interested in learning more about your work, following you on Amazon, all those things, it's going to be in the description. I'll update that as soon as we end the broadcast or, after I get your email or whatever. And certainly feel free to share this video or not. I mean, that's totally your call.
You're going to have to show me how to. Is it going to be, where's it
share
the
video?
Yeah.
Where's it going to be? YouTube.
Oh, okay.
If you don't know how to share a YouTube video.
No, I know how to do that. I just didn't know where
it was going. We'll do I could do a video. Hey, Justina, hit share. You've got this. It's on YouTube right now.
Okay. Oh, hi, YouTube.
Yeah. Hi, YouTube Nation.
Okay, awesome.
Oh, Marin will be 72, bright and young. She's going to take over Crazy Ink at that point. And when she swears, Marin, I want you to come visit my grave and tell me Justina did it. Put that book on my gravestone. Seriously, thank you so much you've always got guts. This is gutsy. You were the first one.
This was a blast.
I'm glad.
I loved it.
We will do this again. We can do it on Facebook, whatever. But thank you for having the guts. Isn't it called Gut Check? Book 2?
Yeah.
Look at me. I know. Where's my 2? Here it is. Whatever. I know a thing or two. I'm proud. So the gut check, but we'll keep that part out. To do this, because I know, talk to Erin. Are you all right? Are you dying over there? Oh, there you go. Yay.
I told you I had it with me.
It was the green one. And we'll do it again. We can come up with like specific topics or whatever works. And slowly but surely get to know you guys. And I hear Justina, are you still doing this? Is thinking about a YouTube channel?
I am still thinking about it. I'm trying to get a backlog of about 3 months of videos with me, like already done, so that I can sort of do one a week and keep making them so it doesn't overwhelm me between that and my blog and books and deadlines. I'm holding off a little bit, but yes, that is still the plan to do that. I don't have a launch date yet, but yes, that is the plan.
When you do, I can feature you on my channel. Not that my whole 83 people is going to make a major difference, but trust me, one person makes a difference in a new platform.
Absolutely.
So yeah, just let me know and I'll help in any way I can.
Thank you.
John, this was fantastic. I can't wait to do it and have my words translated into English after the fact. Yeah.
Also, everybody, I apologize for my hyena laugh. I can't help it.
I can't wait to see how his words get translated. So there you go. I don't know. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Justina. Thank you to everyone who watched and asked questions and made us not be talking to ourselves. Anything else you can think of, Justina?
Stay crazy.
That's awesome. Stay crazy. Talk to you guys later. Bye. All right, Justina.